So Sandra, you are the CEOs of Riese Müller.
Exactly.
When did you get involved with Riese Müller?
So I'm married to Heiko Müller, so I'm involved since 15 years in the background. But 5 years ago, Markus Riese, so the partner of Heiko, asked me if I would like to join management of Riese Müller. So I'm totally involved, like 100% involved since
Five years.
2013.
So just as a reminder, the Riese Müller leadership is a 3 CEO structure. There's Heiko Müller,
Markus Riese, and me.
and Sandra.
Yes.
And Markus and Heiko started Riese Müller how long ago?
This year it's 25 years ago, in 1993. The two engineers started to build bicycles, and then they founded the company, which was in 1993. Yeah.
So yeah, Riese Müller was started by Heiko and Markus, and they're engineers, and so they wanted to. What was their first bike? Why did they start building bicycles?
Actually, there's one picture that we all see at Riese Müller, which is our founding picture, that shows Markus and Heiko on a 4-week Tunisia trip with the bicycles. So they went to Tunisia with 2 bicycles and went all over Tunisia through the desert with 2 bikes. And at that time they were finalizing their studies of mechanical engineering at the university in Darmstadt, which is close to Frankfurt. They were already friends and they loved to cycle, and they were engineers, so they decided that they want to spend their future life with engineering bicycles instead of cars. Because in Germany, if you are a mechanical engineer and if you're a good mechanical engineer, then you usually go into the car industry. And so they decided not to go to the car industry and to develop a bike, which was the Birdie, a folding bike. Because they had the idea that even a short mobility bicycle has to be comfortable. And so they, at that time, mountain bikes were very important or had really high rise. And they thought it might be a good idea to use the full suspension of mountain bikes, to use it also in the city and to use it for short distance riding. And then they came up with this Birdie bicycle, which is a folding bike, and we still have it, which is non-motorized. So that was the start of Riese Müller.
Has anyone seen the Birdie bicycle? It's a really cool bicycle. I've actually been to Riese Müller's headquarters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have met?
We have not met.
No.
No, I was there a long time ago.
Okay.
No, not a long time ago. I guess it was 4 years, in the scheme of things, not very long, but 4 years ago. And Riese Müller wasn't distributing in the US, and I tried to convince them to convince them to work together to import bikes. But it was the first generation Bosch system, and they were thinking about it, but it didn't ever go anywhere. Anyway, I did a tour of I don't know which version of the factory it was, but they have the original Birdie there, which is quite a contraption.
Yeah, and it's still, we still produce it without motor also, because it's a classics. And for example, in Japan, it's extremely successful, the Birdie, even today. So because you don't have a space in Japan, but Japanese people want to have premium bicycles. Yeah. So small bike, premium cycling, and that was the Birdie at that time.
Has Riese Müller always, because one of the things that has really sparked the imagination of people here, especially at the New Wheel, is this sort of made for you in Germany idea, which is sort of, there's a lot of variety of Riese Müller bikes, and you can have the basic frame design that you like, but you can choose what color and what components, so it's not just one size fits all necessarily. Has that always been Riese Müller's idea?
It has always been Riese Müller, and it was even more extreme when we were a little bit smaller than we are today. So now we have to find good balance between efficiency and individualization. But yeah, it is what our customers love, because yeah, they can individualize their bike. It's their bike. They can choose what they want. It's
The original Birdie was the same. Was
Yeah,
that a
it was the
founding
same.
principle of the company, would you say?
Yeah, the Birdie shows a lot what is the founding principle and what still is in our DNA, which is on the one hand what you just said, that you can individualize your product, but on the other hand that we're only doing products that follow a certain concept. So even though you said we have a high variety or a lot of different bikes, we don't have too many models. And each model has its own concept. It's all about mobility, and each concept solves a specific mobility problem that people have, especially in, if you commute, you have different needs than if you like go with a family somewhere. And this is our principle. And the Birdie solved the problem of short distance commuting, and all our bikes solve any kind of problem, and we don't just do bikes, we just always think very in depth which components you need if you are a commuter, which components you need if you have heavy duty loading. That's our principle, and that is originally already in the Birdie.
So after the Birdie was released in 1990.
1993, we won this innovation prize, but then it took some time to find a producer and someone who believed in the company, and someone who's strengthened Heiko and Marcus to really found a company. And then in 1994, the Birdie really went into production.
What was the next bike after the Birdie?
I think it was the Avenue, which we don't have anymore. It was the first really urban bicycle with a full suspension, also a principle of the Birdie, which came then to a real bike, the 26-inch wheels, and having a comfortable and safe commuting in the city. That was the next bike then. Yeah.
That's... Yeah. Was the original Birdie was produced by Riese Müller.
Yeah, it was produced by us, but as the concept was quite difficult, we were of course looking for someone who could produce the frame, and we found Pacific Cycles in Taiwan, which is still our producer for the frames in Taiwan. So long-term relationship. Our frames are not so easy. They are all fully engineered by Riese Müller. So we need always manufacturers that can do this more complex frames. Yeah.
So Riese Müller for a long time was all full suspension bikes.
Full suspension, non-motorized.
Non-motorized for a long time.
Until 2012.
And now Riese Müller is all sorts of full suspension and hardtail, but all electric except for the Birdie.
Exactly.
How did that happen?
We started with the first electric bike. I think it was with the Bionics in 2010, and we saw that it's different engineering if you produce a normal bike or an e-bike. The whole engineering process, the design process is different, in our opinion, because in comparison to a normal bike, an e-bike is more a vehicle. It's more almost like a car. The dynamics, the whole frame construction has to be more solid, has different challenges. And so we decided, as a small company, and at that time we were 35 people, we were not able to do both. We were not able to engineer bikes and e-bikes, and we saw that e-mobility will be the future. And so we did a really radical change in 2012 and skipped all our normal bikes and focused 100% on e-biking.
And how has that been going for Riese Müller? Big problem, right?
A big problem, yeah. Very big problem. No, I think it was the right decision, because we really focused on something that has a bright future and that will really change the society. And I think that is all came together all of a sudden, the engineered frame design, which is very solid and robust. The market time, so that people think if cars are really the best future for our planet, and our willing to really grow. And the three things came together, and it was really a big success for us, and it still is a big success. We have high growth rates. We are in the last 5 years, we are now 350 people. We have growth rates of 50%. It was the opportunity to go abroad as well, to be international present, and to really, because you have a mission, we have a mission, it's really possible with the e-bike to change mobility, yeah, to change people and to make it better, yeah.
So Riese Müller today is one of the biggest electric bike manufacturers in Europe, isn't it?
I just heard that Gazelle makes 100,000 pieces. We are not half of it, but Gazelle is also doing other bikes, non-motorized. Is that right? I don't know. Yes, if you see the pure e-cycling thing, maybe yes, but I don't know. To be honest, yeah, we are kind of big in the meantime, but still we feel like a family.
Startup.
It's startup. Yeah, we are startups. So.
I think the thing that's impressive, what we have always found to be really interesting about Riese Müller is that the bikes are really engineered. They're very high quality. They're very well thought through. They're very different, but also behind the bikes, the business model and the way that everything is brought to market, and the way that they work. Riese Müller works with dealers, and vision in that it's very consistent. Mm-hmm. I have some ideas about it, why that is the way it is. Also, the other thing is, in the bicycle industry, often when you buy bikes, the brands will give the dealership long terms for product, and you bring in the product and then you sell the product within 180 days. That's traditional. Riese Müller is different in that, but at the same time, every bike that Riese Müller sells to the customer, to us, typically is for a customer. It's not just for stock. How did that develop? Is that different in Europe?
No, it's the same in Europe. But coming back to maybe what you said, that we are different, I think in the end we are still, as you said, the little startup, because we are very keen on keeping our culture. Heiko and Marcus are still in the company. They are the owners of the company, and we don't belong to any kind of bigger system. So we are a family-owned company, and this is really, really important to us. Not only externally, but also internally. We always had a very close relationship to our dealers. Now in Germany we have 280 dealers, which is quite difficult to keep a strong relationship, personal relationship to any of our dealers. But like also in the US, we have, I think, a strong relationship to you guys or other dealers in other parts. So we are still the same. We are still the young people, even though not in age, but in mind, and we take things seriously. And relationship is important to us, and I think that's maybe the difference. That's one hypothesis why it is like that. Yeah, we're not. Even though we are big, we are people. Yeah.
It's a very straightforward sort of business in a way. It's very,
Yeah.
We produce this and.
If you look at all the big brands, who's here, but Stroma is also not so big. It's huge companies, with you have a CEO, name is not known, or it's like we are different. We are rather small, like Faraday. Like we have more beef in it. I don't know how to say it.
That's one of the things that's always at the New Wheel that we enjoy, is we are able to, pretty much every brand that we carry, we have a relationship with the company, more than just talking to the sales reps. We talk to the people who are actually able to make decisions, and that's one thing that we've appreciated with Riese Müller is very, even though it's far away, there's a very personal.
Yeah, but the US is an extremely important market for us. So we see that that also mobility is changing in the US, and we very much look to the cities and the places where in the world where mobility is changing because we see it as a planet-wide issue to change. And it's the same like what you want. You want to bring people on e-bikes, ditch their car, like make something for the good. I think that is what you want and we see it more on a global scale. Yeah.
So, as my anecdote before mentioned, I went to Riese Müller's factory 4 years ago, and Bosch hadn't even come to the U.S. yet. Well, it might have been longer ago than that, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, could be.
It was the first generation Bosch system. I went to Riese Müller, tried to plead our case that we really needed really good brands. We were having a hard time just having enough bikes to sell, but it didn't happen that time. But then, what was it? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Riese Müller decided to come to the United States. How was that decision made? Was it?
Bosch was really important because we only produce e-bikes with a Bosch system. We don't have anything else, and of course we are reliable. No, we rely on a Bosch service in the country. So in the US, Bosch started 4 years ago, and as soon as we were sure that we have a good Bosch service, we were able to come to the US and also to follow a personal dealer strategy to deal directly with you and not to have an importer or something like that. Yeah.
So now talking about the bikes that you have currently, I'm curious, there's a few things curious. One is, in Europe, what is your most popular model?
The new Charger.
The new Charger.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with the new Charger is the new integrated battery bike. So Bosch just came out with another battery in their catalog. So they have the original battery that sits on the top tube, and now they have a new battery that fits inside the top tube. And
next to this is the Nevo. The Nevo is also very famous.
Nevo, for us that's one of our tops.
Yeah.
But so this new internal battery is new this year. So the new Charger is doing very well.
Yeah, due to the integrated battery. And I was just asked by someone I don't think is sitting here, does it mean that it's an old model if it's not integrated? And I think it's two options, not everybody wants to have integration. So I think it's not old or new, I think it's an option if you like it integrated or if you rather go for an obvious battery. I think that's two possibilities that you currently have and that are both fine.
Well, for certain bikes, like this year, the Roadster has done really well for us, and that's a very lightweight bike. You couldn't make that an integrated bike if you wanted to. It just wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, no, because that's like Bosch is very strong, and how they design their batteries. Of course, we have to design the frames and the battery. The Roadster idea is to have a very light and a very slim and sportive road bike style, and it's. The frame is too thin or too, how do you say, the thickness, it doesn't fit to an in-tube battery.
So another question, I know the Birdie was your first bike. Do you think you'll make an electric folding bike at any point?
We are asked this very, very often, and I see Turn here over there, they have one, others, the Hahn has it, Hercules has it, and at this point we still think that a folding bike has to be lightweighted because you put it in the train, you have it in your camping vehicle or whatever, on your yacht, on your boat, and we think it has to be lightweighted, which is not goes not along with motor at this point. So at this point we think we don't have the final battery solution, motor battery solution, for a lightweight folding vehicle. If this is the future, we will see. But at this point, no.
So, looking forward, first on the product line, what are you most excited about?
Cargo bikes.
Cargo bikes.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Not only because I'm a mother and I completely changed my lifestyle myself. So I don't use a car any longer, and being married to Heiko Müller and being a partner of Markus is really tough in terms of cycling enthusiasm, and I was never able to follow this until until the cargo bikes came up, because I was always like, when I see the bike here with the 2 bags, that's not my style of commuting. You know, I love, like, I'm a woman, I love handbags, for example, and I hate to put handbag in a bag like this. And I was very limited. We have kids, I have always a lot of errands, I need to go to the post office, and I felt so often so limited that I had to take the car, you know. And then I changed to a cargo bike, and all of a sudden all of the problems were solved. There's hardly a day when I'm not able to do all the shopping, all the errands, all the things. I buy bottles of wine, whatever I want, you know. I do not have to plan, because before I had to plan, do I go for shopping, do I need the bike, or do I need the car? And today I just go out, and whatever comes in my way, I can do it. And I really don't need a car any longer. Within a distance of, what is it in miles, 12 kilometers is like 8 miles. I don't need a car any longer, and it gives me so much freedom. So therefore, for me personally, this is life-changing. And I also think that cargo bikes are able to really change people's minds, and to get rid of a car, you know.
They're so useful.
They're so useful, and they're really nice bikes, and they change the cities, you know. They change also, if you see a lot of cargo bikes, then I think it's a sign that cities are changing, and I think it's good, yeah.
You see a lot of cargo bikes in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Which cargo bike do you have?
I have a load, full suspension.
Nice.
Yeah, I just did a little trip with another bike without full suspension, and I love suspension. Yeah. Also, the kids love it, so because it's so much. I have also a fast e-bike, you know, and I.
What color?
White.
Oh, that's our, we have the same bike.
Yeah.
Dual battery?
No, because my next one is a dual battery. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I have to give mine back, and then I get a dual battery. Definitely. I have it since 2 years now, so I don't get every year. No, every year, no. But so the cargo bikes are really the future, in my opinion. But there's a lot of other things that are changing, and nice bikes, nice concepts. Yeah.
Do you want to share any of those with us, or do we have to wait until?
I mean, we know that integration is a topic. We just talked about it. It's a big issue. Also, the discussion how much integration you need, what is comfortable and what is not comfortable. That's what we think about. Then, of course, we think about connectivity. So, how can you connect to with your bike as a rider? How important is it, or is it not important? We think a lot about how to get younger people on bikes, how to make it attractive for really young people, like also instead of a car. I don't know how it is in the US, but in Germany, kids don't do that. Like 16 or 18, they don't do their driver's license anymore, like in that rate when we were young. So what do they do? Like, how do they get from A to B? Is it mommy, or is it whatever, Uber? And so we think about how can we bring also 14, 16, 18-year-old youngster students on e-bikes.
And what do you think? What's the concept with that?
We had a panel discussion with young kids using a load, like 10 young people at the age of 15 to 18 using loads, because they really love the cargo bike concept. They can take their girlfriend with them, they can take a beer, go to barbecue, whatever. But the issue is that they don't want to pay for it. You know, that's either mommy buys it, or they're very open to any kind of sharing or leasing concept, which is also a big issue of the future, at least in Europe. So cargo cycling is a lot about sharing. Yeah, you share it within the family, you share it in the community. Like you were in Bern, they have Carvelo to go. They use our Paxter 60. It's an extremely successful sharing concept all over Switzerland. They use it for everything, you know. grandfathers renting it for 2 hours because on a Wednesday afternoon they have the kids, or skiers that have to go the last mile with their touring skis. So that's really, sharing is very much connected to cargo cycling.
Yeah, we should talk about that. I'm curious what they do in Switzerland. I saw them. I saw
Yeah.
people riding loads and loads and packsters all over with signs on them.
They have a packster all over Switzerland.
Yeah.
And it's a cool concept. I mean, I listen to the political discussion in the morning, and it's always the question, what can politicians do to improve infrastructure, to get more budget? But I think you can always ask what we can do, and an event like this helps a lot. Also communities doing a lot, and for example this sharing concept is also doing a lot to bring people on bikes, because you have the possibility to try it. It costs only 5 Swiss francs per hour, which is really cheap. If you need to bring something from A to B, no problem. And the concept is really bright, because you have a host, for example, which could be a restaurant or a bakery, and they have 2 to 3 packsters or only one. You don't have to go to a specific bike shop, but there's all over the cities, like the restaurants you love to go to. You just go in and pay the 5 Swiss francs, and then you go out and use it for 1 hour. It's
cool.
really, really easy.
That's awesome. Now that is one thing that I loved about Bern is you just park your bike,
yeah,
and you walk away.
Yeah.
You don't lock it,
Yeah.
or you lock it with the wheel lock.
Yeah.
How is Riese Müller, and in San Francisco, that's just crazy. Your bike will be stolen within
I heard that. Yeah.
5 minutes if you did
In
it.
Switzerland, nobody steals
Yeah.
anything. It's like, but that's Swiss. In Germany, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is Riese Müller thinking? Because that's one of the biggest impediments that we see to people wanting, investing in electric bikes. I mean, we know there's good solutions to doing it. And there's insurance, and there's ways to do it to make it,
But better not to use the insurance,
better
right?
not to. Yeah. No. I mean, so what? As far as security goes, is there any? What's the thinking around how to improve that?
Well, the thinking around is, I mean, to work on concepts that connect also digital opportunities with locking. I think that's the future. With the car, no problem. You can do a lot of things. The car is always the how to say. We always look at what cars can do, and this is what bikes have to do. Like open the bike from 5 meters away, lock the bike if you're not with the bike, lock the motor, whatever. I think there's many concepts coming up, like
Cool.
GPS, whatever is possible in the future.
So last question. I hear Riese Müller is moving.
Yes.
Can you tell us about what's happening? What the plans are for the future?
We just built a new headquarters, our construction site to grow more, and we constructed on our we are now renting the object, or the factory we are in. We have rented, and now we are building it on our own, and it's. We try to build it sustainable, and it's in the greens. It's like really nice area, and it's for much more bikes, of course. But it's not only, as entrepreneurs, you always look where's your vision, and one of the vision we had is that we want to have our own building that fits very much to the products we have, which means sustainable, in the nature. People feel very good. People who work there feel good. And that's what we realize, and we move in January 2019.
Wow!
Yeah.
And how does that expand your capacity?
It expands our capacity a lot, like at least 50%, but even more is possible. But we stay almost the same size of people, but we, of course, with a larger factory, we have more opportunities to make it more efficient and to start with automatization, but in a human way. We are very human-centered at Riese Müller, so we always go for the team instead of the machine.
Nice.
Yeah, we are very much into this, and I'm very excited about this. It's really great move forward.
That sounds awesome. Well, we look forward to come visiting you.
Yeah, sure, you're invited.
When's your grand opening?
I guess like beginning 2019.
Are you gonna have a party?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sandra.
The beer is like a little bit.
Oh, we have a question from the audience.
Sorry, what's that?
The question was whether
She can visit?
yes,
Sure.
they have these are proud.
I know they are
owners.
load owners. Barb, right? I don't remember her name. The little one? No, the little one was Julia's name. Yeah, of course you can visit us. Yeah.
And you do factory tours.
We do factory tours, but not like officially. I know from Flyer, if you remember, they had huge factory tours. We don't do that because we have to work.
Yeah. But
Gotta
for
say.
owners of a load.
For owners of
We
a
make
load
exceptions.
who make all the way from San Francisco, California to Frankfurt, of course. Very private factory tour.
Better book your tickets.
Exactly.